Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to install AutomationEdge Server completely from scratch. By the end, you will have this login screen in front of you, ready to use. Let's get started. Before we start, a quick note. The software versions shown in this video are specific to AutomationEdge version 8.4. If you are installing a different version, always check the installation guide for that version first. The prerequisites section in the guide lists all the correct versions. For this installation, your machine needs at least 8 GB of RAM, 200 GB of disk space, and 4 CPUs. On the software side, you will need Java 21, PostgreSQL, Apache Tomcat 11, and Apache ActiveMQ Classic 6.1.x. AutomationEdge supports 3 databases: PostgreSQL 14-16, Oracle 19c, and Microsoft SQL Server 2019 or 2022. In this video, we are using PostgreSQL. Let's start by setting up the folder structure. Create a base folder called AutomationEdge. This is where everything will live. Inside it, create 2 folders, Tools and eHome. Tools folder will contain all the required softwares, and the eHome folder is the AutomationEdge working directory. It holds all the configuration and runtime files that AE needs to run. Now, go to System Environment Variables and create a new system variable. Name it ae.home and point it to the ae.home folder path. This one variable tells AutomationEdge exactly where to look for everything. AutomationEdge Server is Java-based. It cannot run without Java. So Java is the first software we install. Unzip Java 21 into your Tools folder. Then create a system variable called jrehome pointing to that Java folder. After that, edit the path variable and add jrehome followed by bin at the top of the list. This makes the Java command available system-wide. Open a command prompt and type Java-version to confirm. You should see version 21 in the output. AutomationEdge needs a database to store all its data, workflows, requests, logs, and more. Now let's install PostgreSQL. Double-click the installer. The setup wizard will open. Click through the first few screens. For installation directory and data directory, the default locations work fine for most setups. Accept them and move on. On the Select Components screen, deselect Stack Builder. We don't need it. Keep everything else selected. The password screen is important. Set a strong password for the PostgreSQL superuser. This is the master database admin password. Keep it safe. You'll need it for database administration. For the port, keep the default 5432. On advanced options, keep the default locale. The pre-installation summary shows everything you've configured. Review it once and click Next to start the installation. Once the wizard finishes, open pgadmin. Create a new empty database and name it VAE. That's the name generally used for AutomationEdge. If you use a different name, you'll need to update it in the AE configuration file later. You can also create a separate database user specifically for AutomationEdge. If you create, just give the new user read and write access to the VAE database. Note down the username and password. You will need them very soon. So far, we have created the AE home folder structure, set up the environment variables, installed Java, and set up the PostgreSQL database. Next up, ActiveMQ. Let's install ActiveMQ. ActiveMQ is the message broker. It handles communication between the AutomationEdge engine and its agents. Unzip ActiveMQ into your Tools folder. Go to the bin, Win64 folder, and run install service.bat. This installs ActiveMQ as a Windows service, which means it will start automatically whenever your machine restarts. Let's verify it if installed correctly. Open Windows Services and look for Apache ActiveMQ in the list. Start the service from here. You can also confirm it is running by opening this admin console URL in your browser. Also, note that ActiveMQ runs on port 61616 by default. Tomcat is the web server that will host the AutomationEdge application. There are a few steps we need to complete while setting up Tomcat. We'll start by extracting Tomcat and cleaning the web apps folder. Then, we'll configure the logging settings, create the setenv file, install Tomcat as a Windows service, and configure its memory settings. So, let's get started. Unzip Tomcat into your Tools folder. Then open the Web Apps folder. This is where web applications are deployed. Tomcat comes with several default apps pre-installed. We don't need any of them. Select all the folders inside Web Apps and delete them. We will deploy AutomationEdge here in a later step. Next, configure logging. By default, Tomcat writes logs to two places: a log file and the console window. Writing to the console creates unnecessary noise and adds overhead. We are going to switch to file-only logging. To do so, open logging.properties from the content folder. Find the dot handlers line near the top. Remove the console handler from it. Keep only the async file handler. This stops Tomcat from printing logs to the console. Now, check that the async file handler is configured to write to the logs folder. Next, change the level to fine. And configure the max days property. This property controls how many days of logs are kept before old ones are deleted. Finally, save the file. Now we need to create a file called setenv.bat in Tomcat's bin folder. This file sets Catalina, which tells Tomcat two things: where to find the AE configuration file and where to write the logs. To create this file, go to the bin folder, right-click and create a new text file. Open it, type in the Catalina ops line exactly as shown on screen. Now save the file, but don't save it as a text file. Change the file name to setenv and the extension to .bat. That's what makes it a batch file that Tomcat can execute. Now we install Tomcat as a Windows service. Go to Tomcat's bin folder and open command prompt as administrator and run service.bat install. You'll see a confirmation that the service was installed. Next, open tomcat11w.x from the same folder. This is the Tomcat monitor. It lets you configure the service. Go to the Java tab. In the Java Options section, paste in these options. They tell Tomcat where to find the logging config, the ae.properties file, and the log folder. They also disable two health check endpoints that are not needed here. Also, set the initial memory to 1024 MB and maximum to 2048 MB. If your server has more RAM available, you can increase these values. And make sure the Java 9 options box is completely empty before clicking OK. We've configured Tomcat and pointed it to our configuration paths, but that ae.properties file we referenced doesn't exist yet. Let's create it now, before we try starting anything. The ae.properties file is the main configuration file for AutomationEdge. It tells AutomationEdge how to connect to the database, how to reach ActiveMQ, and where the UI portal is hosted. There are many more configurable properties available in ae.properties: session settings, file upload controls, workflow thresholds, SMTP settings, and more. Go to the ahome folder and create a new folder called conf. Inside conf, create a file called ae.properties. Fill in the database type, the JDBC connection URL, the database username, and password. Then fill in the ActiveMQ broker URL, username, and password. Note: if ActiveMQ is on a different machine, replace localhost and activemq.broker.url with that machine's IP. Also set the AE portal base URL. This is the address where the AutomationEdge UI will be accessible. You can refer to the installation guide for properties and configure those as per your requirement. This file can also be edited after installation. You don't have to get everything right on day one. Additionally, AutomationEdge encrypts plain text passwords automatically on first startup. You do not need to manually encrypt them before saving. With ae.properties in place, we can now start the Tomcat service and confirm it comes up cleanly, before we even touch the AE application files. Now open Windows Services and start the Apache Tomcat service. Give it a few seconds, then refresh the list. It should show as running. If Tomcat fails to start, don't guess. Go straight to the logs folder inside your Tomcat directory. You'll find a file there called stderr generated at the moment of failure. Open it and read through it. It will usually point you to the exact issue. whether that's a bad path in your Java options, a port conflict, or a problem Tomcat hit while starting up. Fix whatever the log tells you, then try starting the service again. Once Tomcat starts cleanly, we're ready to bring in the actual AutomationEdge application. Before we deploy AutomationEdge itself, let's quickly recap what we've set up so far. We created our folder structure and the AE home variable. We installed Java 21 and confirmed it from the command line. We installed PostgreSQL and created our VAE database with a dedicated user. We installed ActiveMQ as a Windows service and verified it from the admin console. And we installed Tomcat, cleaned up the default apps, configured logging, set up Catalina ops, installed it as a service with the correct Java options, and just confirmed it starts without errors. With all three services, PostgreSQL, ActiveMQ, and Tomcat, ready to go, and our ae.properties file configured, we're finally ready to deploy the AutomationEdge application itself. We are almost there. Before copying the WAR files, let's stop all three services, Tomcat, ActiveMQ, and PostgreSQL. This isn't strictly required to copy the files, but it gives us a clean slate to start everything up in the correct order, which matters for what happens next. Copy the two AutomationEdge WAR files, aengine.war and aeui.war, into Tomcat's web apps folder. Now let's start the services back up, but in a specific order. Database first, then ActiveMQ, and finally Tomcat. Here's why the order matters. The moment Tomcat starts, it begins deploying these WAR files automatically. That's controlled by the auto-deploy setting in server.xml. And during that deployment, AutomationEdge immediately tries to connect to the database and to ActiveMQ. If either of those isn't up yet, the deployment fails. So database and ActiveMQ need to be ready before Tomcat ever starts. As Tomcat comes up and starts deploying, you'll see two new folders appear in the web apps directory, aengine and aeui, as it unpacks each application. This unpacking and deployment can take a minute or two, so give it time before checking further. Let's check the logs to confirm everything started cleanly. Open the logs folder inside Tomcat and look at the AutomationEdge log file. In the log file, notice here, aengine started, it connected with database, next initializing AutomationEdge Server, and here we can see initialized AutomationEdge Server. Let us also verify the installation. Before we log in, let's do one more check. Open pgadmin and expand the VAE database. If you look under tables here, you'll see AutomationEdge has already created its full schema. This confirms Tomcat connected to PostgreSQL successfully and initialized the database on startup, a good sign before we move to the login screen. Open a browser and go to your AE server address on port 8080. You should see the AutomationEdge login screen. Log in using the default system administrator credentials. These default credentials are mentioned in the AutomationEdge Installation Guide. Let us enter the credentials. Upon first login, it will ask us to change the password. Let us change it and log in again. There it is, the AutomationEdge portal. The installation is complete. In the next video, we will walk through what to do after this first login. Setting up tenants, adding artifacts, uploading plugin, configuring server URL. That video picks up exactly from where this one ends. Thank you. See you in next video, and don't forget to visit AutomationEdge Community.